Thank the police who bravely turned up and contained and managed the subsequent operation while their comrades' blood was still soaking into the soil, turned up and ran towards the danger, and I thank them for their bravery. I can't imagine how that must have felt going out there in the helicopter, going into a situation like that after the deaths of two of their colleagues. Their professionalism and dedication to their job is a credit to them and appreciated by all Australians. The names of Constable Macquarie and Arnold will be remembered by Queensland Police and Queensland and Australians forever, and the tragedy of two young lives lost while at their work. And also, I want to mention Alan Dare, the good Samaritan, the good neighbour, not someone with a weapon, just armed with what every Australian in the country has, which is to be a good neighbour, living on the neighbouring property. As I said, I know that area well. It is a lot of battlers move to that part of the world, maybe come from Western Sydney, maybe come from the western suburbs of Brisbane after looking for a second chance, perhaps after a marriage breakdown, these blockies, looking for a chance in life. I don't know Alan's story, but it sounds like he was still a great neighbour. Those reports of Alan being a good, responsible neighbour, wanting to check on the welfare of his neighbours when he noticed fires on the properties, as the member for Melbourne said, moving towards the danger when he heard the gunshots. That is the country raid, which is the true code of the West. Sadly, Alan didn't know the full extent of what was happening in his quiet part of Queensland. He didn't realise that a pocket of evil had come into his part of paradise. But all he would have been thinking was, I better go and check and make sure my neighbours are okay and see whether they need a hand, because this is what good people should do, what good people did do, and what good people will do again. But tragically for Alan and his loved ones, he was never able to return to them in his home after being murdered, shot in the back. What a dog act. He didn't get to celebrate his wedding anniversary. So, the last part of my speech, I want to particularly call out this rise that we're seeing in terms of conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers and sovereign citizens and the purveyors of hate and misinformation who cultivate some of these things. I'm not jumping to a conclusion saying this is what happened here, but I am seeing it on the rise, and I know people in the police service, people in the who work as magistrates tell me that there is a rise of this sort of misinformation. And I particularly, while I'm here in Canberra in this building, call out the politicians who harvest mistrust as part of their business model. You go on Sky After Dark and dog whistle or dog trumpet these conspiracy theories, and these shadowy conspiracy theory groups who are actually praising these killers of police officers and encouraging others to take up arms. We need to shine a light on that behaviour. Remember that Hitchens razor, that what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So I urge the people that get in to start to go down these rabbit holes, instead go to your libraries. Don't do your own research. Have your information created by a professional, someone we call a librarian. Look it up. Not by an algorithm that has clickbait outrage as a business model. I don't want the cookers and anti-vaxxers or sovereign citizens or conspiracy theorists. I know they're negative terms, but these are difficult times. I don't want them sentenced to jail or anything. I want them actually confined to their local libraries under the supervision of a good librarian who helps them find accurate information. Don't go down the rabbit hole, come out into the sunlight. It is where evil withers. And lastly, I particularly want to put on my record my condolences to the lives of the brave Constable Rachel Macquarie and Constable Matthew Arnold and the kindly Alan Dare. May they rest in peace and their memories be cherished forever.
Member for Moulton and I call the member for Hinslow.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Constable Matthew Arnold,
Keith Pitch, Nationals Queensland.
in just March 2020. Constable Rachel Macquarie, 29, sworn in just last year June 2021. Both started their careers in Dalby before being transferred to Tara. And as the member for Morton has outlined, it's pretty tough country. In fact, it's pretty wild country. But no one ever thought that it was murderous country where such treachery would occur. To Alan Dare, 56, who responded in a way that pretty much everybody I know would have in regional Australia. They simply would have gone to have a look to see what was going on, to see if they could provide assistance. And it's as simple as that. Simply, you would not even give it a second thought. It's just what you do. It is your second nature. To Constable Randall Kirk, 28, who was shot in the leg and escaped. To Constable Keely Bruff, 28, who ran into the bush and hid and called for backup. She had only graduated 8 weeks ago. What a remarkable story and a remarkable response. Both of those are from Chinchilla Police Station. And Deputy Speaker, I want to give a shout out to our colleagues in this place. To the member for Wide Bay, Lou O'Brien. For the member for Cowper, Pat Conaghy, to the former Senator Barry O'Sullivan, of course to the former state member for Bundaberg, David Batt, and many others who I know who have served in the police force and end up in this place. And I know for them and for all of the police family, this is an incredibly difficult time, because for every single police officer, they know that this could be them. Today, tomorrow, next week, next year, it could be them. Their families know it could have been the call that they did. It could have been the call that they did. Now, to my own father, he's been gone for a long time, very long time, a life in the police force, one of their more troublesome children. And we know that simply the work that they do creates such challenges. PTSD, mental health, problems with the drink, all of those issues that happen at home because of their service to their state, to the country, and to their community. And yet we know that for Constable Arnold and Constable McCrow, they will never get that opportunity. They will never go through those stages of life. For many of them, whether it's children, grandchildren, the tough times, the good times, the not so great times. Unfortunately, their life has been taken, and they will never get that experience. To Ian Levers, who is better known as a very straight shooter in Queensland. He is incredibly frank. Had a number of discussions with him over the years, and he walked straight up to a microphone and called this for what it was. It was pure cold-blooded murder. And it is a terrible reflection on our society that this has even happened. I mean, how could this happen? We need to do better. We all need to do better. So, to the two individuals who will never grow older, Madam Deputy Speaker, whose families will never have that experience with them over that period of time. We all go through difficult circumstances, but they will never even get that opportunity. And I think that is just such a terrible outcome. For all of the police in Tara and Chinchilla and Queensland, whether they're in the response forces, whether they're paramedics, whether they responded, we know they will see this into the future on many nights, many nights. But it is a police force now which has such a better service, such better support, such better opportunities for the people who serve to manage those difficult issues. I had the great good fortune to do some training with the police service many years ago, and the piece that stuck with me was not about investigation techniques, which I still recall. It was the police psychologist who said every single one of them is a bucket that slowly fills, and eventually you will spill over. And they've got to manage those challenges. And I know even for our serving members in this place who've come from the police force, it's a very, very difficult job to do, to run into danger, to deal with such incredibly hard and tough decisions. And along the lines of the contribution member for Morton, I do want to talk about the impacts of social media. Now, there'll be significant investigations into this tragedy. And I'm not reflecting in any way on the particular circumstances that have happened near Tara this week. But quite simply, disinformation, fake news, and most particularly anonymous accounts. We cannot let these continue. The idea that you can go online and be anonymous and say whatever you want, that's not free speech. This is your real life. It is where you now live. It is not something for which you should be protected. If you want to have something to say, you're welcome to say whatever you like, but you should have your name next to it. And it impacts our entire society, from young children who get harassed all the way through to adults, to businesses to individuals that use it to influence people in a particular direction. Well, I think it reflects poorly on all of us that we have not managed to deal with fake accounts on social media. We should once again stand up to the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams of the world and tell them it is not acceptable. This is where we live. It is our real life. It's not part of some fake universe. It has direct impacts. And those impacts in a lot of cases have terrible outcomes. And I think it's something we should focus on, both sides of the parliament. It's to my great disappointment that when we're in government we did not fix this. And it wasn't for a lack of trying, I have to say, Madam Deputy Speaker. But to come back to the condolence, to all of our police force, to all of our police families, to their families, we know that you serve with great honour. We know that our society in many cases do not treat you with the respect that you deserve, but know that the overwhelming majority of the Australian community stands with you. They stand with you.